So February the 6th, Sunday, is our first fruits offering. That's
It is.
where we give financially our first and best to God as TCC.
Yeah.
It is, we believe it's an obedient step of faith, and
Yeah.
it's an act that we see in scripture that we imitate every year. And
Yeah.
it's a real joy to us. But we want to talk really practically about how do I know how much to give?
Yeah.
Because that can be the complication sometimes. How do you figure that out? Well, I think the first thing that I would say is it's through a prayer, through a conversation with God. He's the one that we're bringing our first and best to.
Sure.
And I think through that conversation, God sometimes reveals to us a certain amount or a figure. I think also just practically through conversation with a good friend, a spouse, husband or wife, children, whatever's appropriate for your life stage, if you're single, married, etc. Is really important as well, that we're in that together. We involve our kids in that as well. So practically, I think that's always an important thing.
Yeah, I would agree. And we've talked about this is a conversation that we're navigating to figure out what is our first and our best. And that's not always the same year after year. And so, having a conversation of, in this context where we find ourselves, what does our first and our best look like now? And I know over the years we've had to be quite creative with that as a family. Sometimes we felt our first and our best looked like selling things, and we've done that. We've done car boot sales, those kind of things. And other times it's been out of an abundance, the fact that we find ourselves in a blessed position, and so we give out of that. So it's found us different. Sometimes it's from a sacrificial point of view, and we've been creative, and other times it's from an abundance. But it's always been our first and our best. Rich, is there anything practically that you can say would help with that?
So this is a really practical thing, but I think to know what faith looks like, you have to know what reality is. So you have to know your own financial situation. I think that's also where speaking to others at a practical level and how did you figure this out is really important. The other thing is just being prepared for the actual Sunday itself.
Yes.
It is a celebration here, like something we do with joy, because just like the rest of our lives, for us that are people of faith and we're part of this community, we want to give our first and best to God. Absolutely. We show that in our finance too. Yeah. So being prepared, knowing what we're going to give, being excited, and having had conversations, we come then just energized and ready to share.
So one of the things that we do in terms of that preparation is you actually have 8 weeks to fulfill your pledge. I think that's important to know. That also helps us prepare in terms of just the logistics of how we pay that. And what we'd like to do is also give you an opportunity straight after the gathering. We've got one of the lead teams, someone from our finance, and some of the community who have experienced First Fruits with us, really that's available to you to ask some questions. There's no question too simple, no taboo question at all, but you'll hear more about where that is from our MC this morning. But please come along, ask your questions. Let's prepare our hearts for what is going to be an incredible morning of faith.